Hi there, it's David O in sunny Karmiel. We're coming to the very end of June, and it's Parsha Balak. Parsha Balak is a curious story. It features the greatest sorcerer of the ancient world, Bilam. He's hired by King Balak, the Moabite king, to curse the Jews. And the story unfolds really like a cartoon story. It could come out of Shrek or Disney, Pixar, whatever. What happens? Well, and by the way, you should know Bilam is no joke. Right? Bilam is compared to Moses himself in the Torah. They have many things in common, specifically power given to them by God. Bilam asked God, should I take this job, this gig from Balak, to go travel all the way from southern Jordan to Iraq, a great distance, in order to curse the Jews? And God allows him to do it, but makes clear to him, you'll say what I tell you to say. There's a lot of hesitancy. He goes back and forth. He doesn't accept the invitation. They have to send more important people to get him. Eventually, he agrees. And off he goes on his journey. His two servants and himself are riding his favorite donkey. And suddenly the donkey stops. And Bilam is upset. He hits the donkey. The donkey won't continue. Well, from God's point of view, and from the donkey's point of view, the donkey is, between a rock and a hard place, to say the least. In front of him is an angel with a sword drawn. And behind him, sitting behind him, in fact, is Bilam hitting him with a club. What to do? Well, the donkey does what is normal. He starts arguing with Bilam. Wait a second. We all know that it's very common for people to talk to their pets. But when their pets talk back, it may be time for an intervention. But strangely, in the Parsha, nobody seems to find this unusual. The talking donkey. And by the way, he's not just talking. He's arguing, he's debating, he's whining, he's complaining. Why are you hitting me? What have I done to you to cause you to be mean to me? It sounds like, good friends or a couple, they're having like a very personal argument, right? The whole thing is completely bizarre, right? And nobody involved in the story seems to notice it. And it's about language. After all, one might ask the question in this story, who is the ass? Bilam, the greatest sorcerer of all time, is losing an argument with his ass, with his donkey. It goes further than that. Eventually he arrives at the location where the Jews are. Now, what's unique about the rest of the story is a question could be asked. Exactly how does Moses know this story? Because what happens? The Jews are camped below in a valley, and Bilam and Balak are going around the perimeter, not seen by anybody, and building mizbeachs, building sacrificial altars to sacrifice to God and to curse the Jews. And every time they curse the Jews, well, actually, Bilam's job is to curse the Jews. Balak seems to be the altar builder. And every time they curse the Jews, instead of coming out of his mouth the vile curses that he intends, come out the most beautiful blessings in the Torah. So in the end, the evil Bilam, at the behest of the evil Balak, give the Jews the greatest blessings of all time, and the Jews don't know it. They don't know what's been going on around them in the perimeter above the valley. Now this begs a question. Right? And the question it begs is, didn't Moshe Rabbeinu write this story down when he was taking dictation from God on Mount Sinai? So does Moshe Rabbeinu know what's all going on, but the rest of the Jews don't know and he hasn't told them? And they won't find out until they read his book? This is for another time. But I think the lesson in the story touches on one of the very most important questions in all of Torah. It seems that there is a conflict. There's a belief in predestination. God runs the world, and what he chooses to have happen will be what happens. But man has free will, free choice. That means he actually can choose to do what God doesn't want him to do. So this raises enough questions to devote a whole year of classes to. Where do we come down between free choice and predestination? Bilam's free choice was to curse the Jews. He got paid for it. But he blessed them. So God had intended for the Jews to be blessed, and regardless of what came out of what he intended to say, blessings it was. How does that impact us? Very important question. It seems to me that the end of this story may be the key to it. Pinchas decides on his own, in a very zealous way, to exercise his free will. And we'll find out more about that next week. For now, let us say that he acted zealously on behalf of God, but not at the behest of God. Was he rewarded or was he cursed? Stay tuned for next week. Know that your will and how you choose to use it is very important. It may not be the be-end of everything, but know that if you're using your free will and it is in concert with the will of God, it will be very effective. And if it is not in concert with the will of God, it could still be very damaging, although God may find ways to overcome it. So consider the decisions you make as absolutely important. You know, Maimonides, who considers this whole story to be a dream, it's too bizarre, holds that you should always consider the world as balanced equally between good and evil. And the act that you do, the action that you do, will tip the scales either towards evil or towards good. And it's in your hands. I want to wish everybody a good Shabbos here from Karmiel. Next week, Torah for Karmiel will come to you from, God willing, Thornhill. We're visiting there for a little while. I also want to send out a special thank you to a few people. First of all, I want to congratulate Stephen Joshua on his bar mitzvah. It's a wonder for everybody, and he looked great in practice. And his mom. I want to send a special thank you to Mishpacha Sensovsky. They come through when something is required like nobody else. Not only do they make contributions, financial, which are important, very important, but they also contribute support, and they also contribute their time. And without that, I'm not sure how KosherTube would continue and succeed. So I want to send blessings to all of them, and blessings to all of you who are commenting and sharing and liking these videos, because you are the key to continuing success of KosherTube. Let's shut the mouth of Bilam and only hear blessings in the future. Shabbat Shalom.